You can see the screen, right?
I don't know, maybe it's a problem from my end. I still can't. Yeah, I can see a whiteboard. Yeah.
Okay. So you see, on the server side, you are going to send what? You are going to send a character. You are going to send number 16 here and then 16 bytes of data. Right? Now you have two possibilities in the server. The possibility that you should do is to create the block and send it in one send call. Okay. So there are two possibilities. First one, so you create a buffer of size, whatever size basically, and then in the first byte of that buffer you copy this M, okay. Then the next buffer you copy, basically you say mem copy. I forgot the syntax, okay, but basically you will say which one is destination, which one is this, I forgot. Size of unsigned short, okay, and then your source will be ampersand that value that in which you have stored the thing, and your destination will be this plus one, basically buffer whatever. If you have declared a buffer of size something, so is buff plus one, okay, because you know this takes 1 byte, okay. Then you copy that, then you copy the 16 bytes. Are you with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then once you have copied it into this buff, you can use a single send call to send that buff out, basically. Okay. But even if you send this thing in one send call, on the client side, the client cannot expect that this one send thing will be received together in one receive call, because this is TCP. All it knows is there is the first one that will be coming, I should interpret as a character. The next 2 bytes coming, I should interpret as unsigned short. This will tell me how many next bytes are coming in this block. So it's going to kind of assemble that block on the other side, sort of, whichever way you do it. That's your local data structures. So whether you send it like this, or whether you send them, then send 16, and then send the 16 bytes in one or more send calls, it doesn't really matter. There's no compatibility issue.
Yes, sir.
Because on the receive side, okay, you may get a whole bunch or you may just get the M. If you just get them, you have to wait for the 16. Now, even if you have sent the whole thing here together, the client may have received it separately also. TCP does not guarantee you anything. Am I making sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Even I had a doubt. So this is in continuation of my email that I sent to you yesterday. So it's Rajat here, sir. Rajat Bachhala.
I got it. Go ahead, please.
Yes. So, sir, basically in the puts command, what is happening is firstly the client itself will check whether its local file exists. Then the server will check if the remote file exists. If it does, then it sends the code 200, and then the client is supposed to send whatever the contents of the local file are back to the server. However, following that, we don't receive anything. Like the client doesn't wait to receive anything back from the server once it has sent everything.
Right.
So won't there be a problem over here if the user types a command right after it? I mean, because in every other command, what is happening is the final thing that's happening for that command is the server sending something back, either a code or let's say for in the case of the dir command, it's sending the list of files in the directory. So the client is waiting for something at the end to happen. However, it's only the puts command for which we are not waiting for anything at the end. And after the sending has happened, we can like send another command after that. So what may happen is the sent contents and the next command might get merged together.
No. Just hold on a second here.
All right, sir.
Okay. You get a myFTP prompt. Until you have done a put, if your file transfer is going on, your myFTP prompt should not come back. You cannot even enter a command. See, for the FTP program is a single
Yes.
program. For it to kind of process the next command, it has to read the next command. It's not going to come back to that scanf until it has finished that.
Okay, right. It's actually okay. It's waiting to read the next command.
It will have to wait to it. See,
Yes,
it's
it
just
will
a
have to
normal
wait.
keyboard commands. You have to do a scanf. Until you have not done the scanf, there is no question of the command coming in.
Yes. So it actually waits for the user's command. So in that way,
Right. Just like normal thing, like unless the prompt does not come back. If the prompt does not come back, it only gives the prompt, then waits on the scanf.
yes, sir. Got it. My bad.
Just like a shell.
Understood. Thank you, sir.
So whoever asked the first question, you're absolutely right. This is basically proper FTP is more complicated. Okay. So proper FTP actually opens two connections. Okay. So there is a command connection. So the one that you connect to is basically that connection is used only to send the command. If there is a data transfer involved, then a separate data transfer thing, another connection gets opened basically. There's a port number that gets exchanged and so on. So proper FTP is more complicated. We have done this in the past, but then you require a synchronization between this, in this kind of this control channel and the data channel basically. And that requires little bit more OS concepts and so on. So we decided to simplify it. You're right, conceptually it's not very difficult. It's just a lot of details deliberately given so. Okay. So that you understand that there is a lot of things to be thinking about. And this last thing that I said, again, we may have incomplete specifications. We have tried to make it as complete as we can, but that's extremely important. So we wanted to get a flavor of that. It's not just, you never really make, your client work with your server in the real world. It's always a specification and you try to follow it exactly. And I would suggest after you finish basically, just for fun, basically just take another group's programs and just run them against each other. Let them open a server, let your client connect to it and see if you can do it or not. Otherwise debug and so on. I got one more question. Okay. So Rajat, I answered yours, but then I got from somebody else also asking me to do that. So this dir command, it does not give you back any error code or anything. Okay. So the directories, so some of the things we have simplified, but so the suggestion was that dir should also give you a 200 back and then send the directory just to be uniform. So that is not to be so. So you follow basically with respect to what reply code, what error codes you are supposed to get, follow the commands exactly. If something said that no error code, no reply code, that means nothing basically. Okay. So the confusion probably was here, but then before giving the assignment, I sent this. So I sent this wording to may send a code back. So it's not that earlier wording that you did not see. Version was that server will send a code back. So if the server decides to send a code back, then it's executed successfully, then enter 200. Otherwise, so I'll modify the wording a little bit here. But short thing is, whatever is there in here in terms of reply code and error code, you follow exactly that. So there's a lot of details, you need to kind of work through it. How are you doing on time? Is it a lot of load? Anyone?
It's a little lengthy to implement everything.
Yes.
And along with that, even our OS lab assignment this time.
D16, right?
Yes, sir, and it's also a little bit
I know.
lengthy.
I know.
Yeah.
The shell, lots of shell things, right?
Yes, sir, and
Talk with your teacher.
Yes.
Okay. Sir. So, do you like an extension?
I mean, sir, we can decide upon that and then let you know.
I'm just curious by the way, just kidding basically. So just chatting with you. How do you decide on these things in your class? Because I'm sure somebody will say we want an extension.
Sir, I mean, the decisions are taken in our. We have a group of ours on WhatsApp.
Okay, Rajat. Why don't you do that right after class today?
Yeah.
and let me know, because I know 6th there is a big assignment due for OS.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Surely. I'll let you know.
Let me know.
Definitely.
So this semester, as I told you, all basically, offline we can look at you much more in the lab to help you, and then the atmosphere is such that work gets done here in campus much more basically. Online, we don't want to stress you too much. It's okay. We will do 3 big assignments, definitely. Do 3 different things. But things will get a little easier once, because now kind of the new calls will be less. With the last assignment, you will have to learn something new. So we don't mind extending it by some time, basically, if you have time. The other thing that will happen, so you will have the assignments. You have 3, you will have at least 2 more and maybe 1 small one also. But that will be just be similar to the first 1 or 2, exercising some small calls or something. But 2 other big ones, okay, similar to this one. And you will have 2 lab tests, probably ones at the end of this month, very end of this month after your exam week, and the other one right before April, before the lab, the semester ends basically. So that's kind of the plan for the thing. It is similar to what we have doing offline also. Around 6 to 7 assignments and this one. Yeah, go ahead.
So, the exam week would be 21st to 25th, something the end of month, right? Of February.
That is your theory exam week.
Yes.
So we don't want to have the lab test in that week. We can have it. I have no problem. But I think that will stress you too much, because you will have a theory test also. Yeah. So after that week.
All right.
See, lab test is, I do not think you need to study for lab tests. Okay. If you have written these programs yourself, you will have nothing to worry about. Whether we ask you a little bit of small, either actually write programs or type programs, snippets, code snippets, or whatever, we'll decide. Okay. So if you know the calls, you have done them yourself, you should not have anything much to study. There's no new theory or something. There's not too much to remember. And it's not like any closed book thing that you have to remember the syntax of the calls or something. You can look them up. It's not a problem. So we'll announce exactly the date. Yeah, go ahead. Somebody was saying something.
Sir, in the lab test, we'll have to write code.
Let me put it this way. You will have to write code in some form. Okay. So in the past, we have done both basically. So one is like simply just write something, run something, just like your PDS lab test kind of thing. Okay. And so that kind of, and you submit the code. Okay. And there are partial marks and also, don't worry. It's not that if your code does not run, you get a 0, nothing like that basically.
Got it.
Okay, but we also have done things like this where we ask you to just on paper, maybe you type in Moodle, maybe you write on paper, upload or something, kind of small code snippets basically. Not the entire code, you don't have to type, but small code snippets we ask you to write basically.
I see. Okay, sir.
Or we give you a piece of code, we ask you something about it. So it will deal with code. There will be no theory.
Yes. Understood.
So one of the things I'm going to talk about next class, okay, since I want to see what is happening today, is so you see, if you look at all those calls, okay, that you have done so far, there are things that we have skipped. Okay, I'll do some of them next class. For example, receive your flags. Okay, there are many flags. Okay, but some of them are very interesting flags. Okay, similarly, like the return values. Return values indicate something interesting sometimes. So we'll point out things like that. So it's not that you have to read up the man page of every call completely, but I suggest that you read up the man pages, and then when we do the things in class, okay, you can actually kind of link with it a little bit. So this problem, for example, just we'll do it in class, but see, you send an integer. Okay. So the integer coming is 4 bytes. Okay, just suppose you know that. But then by TCP, your 4 bytes may not come together. You may get 2 bytes. Okay. So if you get 2 bytes, what do? So you have to get another 2 bytes, and then you have to kind of put it in the buffer properly, then do the conversion and so on and so forth. But then until you have got the 4 bytes is useless to you. So one of the flags allows you to not get blocked, okay, but peek into the thing. So there's a flag called message underscore peek, okay, and if you ask for 4 bytes, it will peek into it, and if there is not 4 bytes, it will return immediately with a particular way. We'll discuss that to indicate to you that the 4 bytes are not available. So it'll give you back the 4 bytes only when all 4 bytes are there. But it won't block you. So you can peek, do something else, come back and peek again. When you get the 4 bytes, you work with it, basically. So there are interesting things like that. You can make your receive non-blocking. There are other ways of doing it also. There are socket options you can set. So we'll do them slowly. But what I'm saying is some small questions may also be from those things that we teach in class. We don't do any major assignments on this because we cannot give you assignments on everything. Then you will cry basically. But these are important things to know. Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I just have a general question. Like, I was asking, maybe is there any chance of offline? I don't think so, but I was just asking.
I do not know. This semester I was really looking forward to offline. So right now there are still a lot of cases. So it's coming down, but still a lot of cases. End of January. My guess is that if anything starts offline later or hybrid, offline, whatever, it will probably be the theory classes. So theory classes, you have a chance probably of having at least a hybrid class. So whoever you are here can at least come to the classroom. We were all set to do that actually. Actually, the day before the announcement, we have actually gone and visited the classrooms and everything. Lab, I doubt it. Because lab anyway, the size of the lab is such that all of you cannot fit in together. They're planning to have it offline in a classroom anyway. But yeah, so lab, I doubt it. Theory, there is a chance, maybe later on.
All right, sir.
Are you in campus already?
Yes, sir. I'm on campus, and I believe most of our
I know. Third year data was basically, I think, before by 1st January, I think all but around 13-14 of you should have been on campus. And then those people were also coming back in the next 2-3 weeks. So our original plan was first 2 weeks hybrid and then completely offline from the third week onward.
Right.
So hopefully at least theory classes we'll see. Maybe after the midterm if things go over well, we'll see. This one's actually the problem is that I cannot make a decision. So I'm not authorized to, unless the institute tells me to that we are allowed to. But once you guys are allowed to come out of the hostels properly and so on, okay, maybe you can come down to the department sometimes. In small groups, we can meet.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Just for fun. See, I taught you 2 courses. I don't even know your faces basically.
Exactly, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, then theory you will so the Rajat, just let me know by today, okay, regarding the extension if people feel
Yes,
like
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
I think a few days extension would be good for you because the OS lab assignment I talked with Mainak today is quite heavy also.
Yes, sir.
But that's okay. That's going to be your 6th semester. Every batch has gone through this. Don't worry about it too much.
Yes, sir. We've heard about it a lot.
Yeah, it's the killer semester.
Yes.
But it's good also. You do a lot of hands-on things this semester actually.
Yes, it's actually been fun. It's been a lot of fun to solve the OS lab and the networks lab assignments.
No, you see why I'm stressing on these client server things and so on. I don't know. Again, this semester because we are going to do 3 different things. We did not. So we do a subset of HTTP also sometimes. Okay. And it's absolute fun to see that when your HTTP client actually connects to your online web server running, not what your friend wrote, a proper web server, and get some basic data, text data. Or we have got like Firefox connecting to your web server running and got some basic text files to show on the Firefox,
Yes.
Chrome, whatever. That shows that you have understood protocols correctly. So this is just a small scale simulation of that. But yeah, OS network, everything is like you see things in action basically.
Exactly, sir. That's why it's more interesting than others.
Okay, so there are no other questions. You can leave, and we'll send you mail. So class is over. If you have any questions, I'm still here for another 5-10 minutes. If not, you can leave. Okay, somebody asked a question in chat. Aryan, you're still there? You are there.
Yes, sir.
Did you understand the answer to this, or do you want me to answer?
I'm a little bit confused.
Okay, okay. So ask now. Why are you sitting silently? Actually, when my screen is open, I cannot see the chat page. So the idea is in a TCP thing, as I said, you are creating a block. Okay. Suppose you send it through one send call also. You create the block in a buffer, complete thing, first character, then a 16 bytes short integer, and then whatever the number of bytes you have. Okay. And you send it to one send call. But TCP does not guarantee that if you have sent 300 bytes, all 300 bytes will be received at the other end together. So the other end, when it makes it, so suppose this total size is 300 bytes on this side in the send call. On the receive side, if you make the receive call, you can get 1 byte, you can get 100 byte, you can get 30 bytes. Okay. When the receive call comes out of the block, it can be anything. It won't be more than 300. If you have sent only 300, it won't be more than less than 1. That's it. That's all the guarantee it gives. So on the client side or whichever side is receiving the file, you should make amends so that until, because you know the size, you know how many bytes to expect. So until that many bytes come, you should keep on doing the receive basically.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Okay, for UDP is different. UDP, whatever you send by one send call will be received in one receive call if the buffer is large enough. If the buffer is not large enough on the receive side, the remaining part will be discarded. The next receive call will not receive that. TCP is just byte oriented. Just says eventually all the bytes will come. Is that okay, Aryan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, think about it, otherwise send me.
Sir,
Yes.
so I have a question regarding the how to open the files in binary. For example, if I'm transferring a JPEG file, do I store it in a character buffer?
No, use the read call, standard read call, which will just read it in byte by byte. You don't try to see only your fscanf and fscanf and all try to kind of make a format out of it basically. You open it for read, use the standard open call and just do a read.
Read it into a
Buffer, plain buffer. Read does not try to distinguish whether it's a character or integer or something. You just read just the bytes basically as it is.
Oh, okay.
Am I clear? See, you think about a file, okay? if you had, when we are writing into the file, question is what have you written? Suppose you had the correct C basically, okay, and you wrote it in the as a ASCII encoding. Then what is stored is the ASCII encoding. When you read, you will just get the ASCII value. But read will not try to see that it's a character or something. So if you have a JPEG file, for example, and you do a read, it will just give you byte by byte of the JPEG file. And you should be able to transfer it on the other side and open it and see the same JPEG file.
Okay, sir, got it.
So don't use that fopen, fscanf, all those calls basically. Use simple open read write, you will be fine.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. This is Konteo speaking.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, actually, I was wanting to have a discussion with you, like maybe, like actually one to one. Like, is it
Okay.
possible after all the students leave?
Yeah, no, I'm going to leave here from here anyway right now because nobody is asking any questions. So you can also send me a Google Meet, separate Google Meet.
Okay, like, can I do it now? Like, are you available?
Yeah, let's see what's the time. 2:44. Yeah, send me at 2:50.
2:50. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes.